I needed some fuel for the road. I'm doing a long drive across Massachusetts tonight. Thought I'd take you guys with me and tell you a story on the way. That story is called 5 Things I'd Do Differently If I Could Build Out My Van Again. If you're new to my channel, my name is Matt. I live in a 2021 Ford Transit that I converted into a camper myself. The whole conversion process was awesome. I had a blast, but it took 3 years of living in it to really figure out what it is that I would do different if I could ever build out a van again. I'm going to tell you guys these 5 things in reverse order, you know what I mean, with the least most major thing followed by the most major thing. I could go on and on, but I narrowed it down to the top 5. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road. That back there was the Newton Rotary, the Circle of Death, as it's called, your price to pay for getting out of Boston. Yeah, I just spent 2 weeks in Boston. Longest I've spent there in a long time. So anyway, my number 5 thing that I would do differently if I could build out my van again, I would use 1/2-inch plywood for everything. The floors, wall panels, shelves, drawers, doors. Let me explain. I had to use 3/4-inch plywood back there for my floor and the stepping plate next to my bed, my tub for my shower, because I didn't put enough floor joists down. I didn't plan properly, and 1/2-inch plywood will bend. I had to up it, but 3/4-inch plywood is so heavy. I also tried using 1/2-inch plywood in a few spaces back there, like the drawer to underneath my sink. Let me tell you, the difference between 1/4-inch and 1/2-inch is like night and day. 1/4-inch is so flimsy. I've cracked those doors a couple times, put my knee through it. I don't trust 1/4-inch at all. It's not worth the flimsiness. If you're going to use plywood in your van, which you probably will for panels, drawers, all that stuff, just stick with 1/2-inch for everything, all around. Make your life easier. Anyway, that's my number 5. I tell you, all these semis on the Mass Pike drive me crazy. They merge at like 5 miles per hour. It's so unsafe. Anyway, the number 4 thing I would do differently, I would get a 15-gallon fresh water tank. No bigger, no less. Again, I'll elaborate. I got a 32-gallon wheel well water tank when I built my van. My thinking behind that was the bigger the better. 32 gallons is way too much. Way more water than you ever need to hoard. It also weighs a crap ton. Like, we're talking 200-300 pounds. I don't know, someone can do the math. You never need to hoard that much water. 15 gallons, you can get like 2 weeks worth of washing done. Now, this is water I'm using for washing and like showering, what comes out the faucet, not what I drink. You can get through 2 weeks and maybe get 3 showers or 7 to 8 military style showers where you turn it on and off. Out of 15 gallons, 32 is way too much. Once I learned how to find public water sources, campgrounds, lawn and garden centers, municipal water supplies, car washes, Walmarts, it's not hard. 15 gallons is perfect. What I do right now is I never fill that 30-gallon tank more than halfway, which solves the weight issue, but that's like 10 cubic feet of space I could otherwise use under my bed. That's where my dresser is. I could put clothes in there, not have to constantly throw extra clothes away. The 30-gallon water tank was a mistake. Get 15 gallons, I swear, that's all you need. Surely enough, just as I shift the conversation to water, it starts to rain. It's actually kind of pretty right now. The number 3 thing is also about water. Number 3 thing I'd do differently, I would put all of my plumbing manifolds in waterproof containers. I somewhat did that. Above my wheel well water tank, I have a Tupperware container where my pump is, where the inflator is some of the plumbing connections. So if there ever were a leak or a burst, it would be contained at least for a little bit. Unfortunately, I didn't do anything like that around my hydronic heating manifold. If there were ever a burst, a leak, something catastrophic, that could go everywhere. My electronics, it's so dangerous. If I could do it all again, I would have like a big plastic container that my plumbing manifolds would be hovering inside with only some pipes sticking out. So if anything were to break, it would be contained. Maybe have an overflow drain that goes to the drain that goes outside. I would start by doing that, honestly. I think about that all the time. That's my number 3. Also, speaking of water, I'm gonna pull over up ahead. I wanna get to a Walmart and pour some cleaner stuff down my drain. I still have that awful smell in here. The rain stopped just in time to catch a beautiful sunset, some nice light there tonight. I pulled over at a Lowe's. There's actually a Walmart right next door here too. I am looking for some kind of cleaner I can pour down to clear out my gray water tank. I developed this awful rotten egg smell in my van. I thought it might be the battery, so earlier this week I changed the car battery. That did nothing. People also mentioned that it could be coming from my gray tank. I did put it like a P-trap under the kitchen drain, so no gas should be coming out. I realized I forgot to do that for the shower tub drain. So any sort of noxious gas from my gray water tank could be coming out of that. Another design flaw. Anyway, so I'm gonna pop into Lowe's, see if they have some sort of RV cleaner type flush. I don't wanna use Drano, I want something less harsh. I was hoping they'd have some of that RV flush stuff, but they don't. So the next best thing, I think, is just some straight up vinegar and baking soda. They have this lemon scented vinegar stuff here. I'm not sure if they have baking soda. I might need to go next door to Walmart. They did have baking soda there at Lowe's, but I had to buy like 15 pounds of the stuff combined with a gallon of that lavender vinegar. This better work. I'm just gonna pour some of it down my kitchen drain and some down the tub. Look at the beautiful sky out here tonight. I don't know how much is a lot and how much is a little of this stuff. I'm just gonna use it all up tonight. I don't wanna carry all this weight around. I think I'm gonna pour about 1/3 of this vinegar stuff just in the kitchen sink. I mean, that is where all the food particles go. Let's say, I'll just do half, why not? As for the baking soda, I don't know if you're supposed to put this in first. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just mixing chemicals. So I'm gonna take my little drain out right here. Let that sink down into the P-trap, and I'm just gonna pour a crap ton of baking soda. Let that sit. Gonna do the same in the tub in the back. I think this time I'll put some of that baking soda in first. Just kind of pour it over the drain area. Heck, why not just dump all that freaking crap in here? I mean, everything can be disinfected. And then the rest of this stuff, I guess I'll just pour all around, and eventually it'll make its way to the drain, I hope. Oh my god, it's like turning into elephant toothpaste right now. Look at this. Alright, so the heck with this stuff. I'm just gonna pour all of this baking soda, like most of it, in my drain right here. This is gonna be fun. Yeah, you're supposed to let this stuff like sit and mix for a few hours, which I will, and then just kind of flush everything down with hot boiling water. I'll do that later tonight. But for now, I'm having a grand old time filling this up. Oh my god, look at this. Is it gonna overflow my sink? Yeah, that might overflow my sink, but I don't care. It's nice to flush that gray water tank. As for the number 2 thing I would do differently if I could build out my van again, now we're getting into heavy hitting business. The number 2 thing, and it's pretty major, is I would not install a hydronic heating system in my van. The hydronic heating system is the superheated glycol that runs through tubes in the floor and the wall. Don't get me wrong, it works. I love this stuff. On super cold days in the winter, I will crawl down on my warm floor, curl up into a ball, and I will sleep down there. The problem is most of the year it goes unused, but that glycol is always sitting in there. And I always worry that something is gonna pop, something is gonna leak underneath the floor, in the wall, and destroy my van. It's a constant worry in the back of my mind. It also took a lot of time to install that stuff. It was a months-long project to get the whole thing rigged up, and it cost like $8 or $9 or $10,000. It was expensive. Hydronic heating is a luxury, but in retrospect, I don't think it was worth it. All you need is a diesel heater that provides the hot air, and that will do you just fine. The number one thing I'm gonna save for until I get to my sleep spot tonight. I'm not gonna sleep here at this Walmart. It doesn't look very hospitable. I want to go to the Cabelas in Holyoke that I've spent many times at. And then we'll settle in and I'll tell you the number one heavy hitter. In the meantime, I'm gonna pour the rest of this crap down the drain. I'm not taking the Pike to Cabela's, I'm taking some back roads. This is the town of Palmer, which is like the Ithaca of Massachusetts. The street grid is just crazy. Twists and turns, and I keep getting lower and lower clearance bridges. First it was 12.6, then 11.3, then 10.6. Starting to get a little nervous about that. The clearance of my truck now is 9'6". And here we are back at Cabela's, one of my favorite places to stealth camp for the night. Let's see what the crowd is like right now. The business closed an hour ago. There should be no one here. A couple of cars here. Maybe some employees still cleaning up. No, that person is car camping right there. I can tell the back is all blinded out. Now, I like to park around behind the building back here. Let's see what the scene is like. Normally, I'm got like one other two cars as company, but man, I am seeing nobody here tonight. I have the place to myself. There is nobody, not a single other car here at Cabela's tonight, which surprises me. That's never happened, even on a cold winter night. Kind of cool though. It means I don't have to pad up my windows. I should probably flush all that crap down, and then I'll tell you guys what my biggest regret in my van build is. Flushing the shower out should be easy. It said to use boiling water to flush it. I turned the hot water heater on for a little bit. It's not boiling, but it's hot enough. And I can just kind of flush it with a shower. It definitely smells really good, that lavender stuff. I thought baking soda just dissolved in water, but that stuff has clogged both my sink and my shower drains. I hope I can do something about it tomorrow because it kind of sucks. At least stuff is getting disinfected while it's all stagnant. Anyway, the number one thing that I regret about my van, no, it's not that I got a different type of van, like a Sprinter or a ProMaster instead of a Transit. Listen, I don't think there's a silver bullet when it comes to what type of van you're getting. Yes, Sprinters have a reputation for quality, but with my Ford Transit, I can make service center appointments like that. I once broke down on a road trip in Springfield, Missouri, and there was a Ford service center right down the street. They took me within an hour, fixed the problem. I don't think I'd encounter that with a Sprinter. The Sprinters just have a much thinner service network in the US. So I'm not gonna go over types of vans. That's not my regret. My biggest regret is sorry, that sucked. Is using the 1515 series instead of the 1010 for my 8020 aluminum I-beams. The 1515 series is the 1.5 inch thick aluminum I-beams. They weigh twice as much and cost twice as much as the next size down, the 1010, the 1 inch aluminum I-beams. The reason I use the 1515 series is because that's what all the van build channels recommend. Humble Road, all the others. The reason being the connectors, the pins that connect them are too chintzy and might break under compression. which is partially true. The bolts that the 1010 series use have a shear force of like 300 psi, which is not unthinkable. It could snap under enough force, like if I were to jump on the bed or something. But I learned a hack halfway through my van build with that 1010 series. You thread out the end of it, you drill a hole, and you can put another bolt in there in addition to the factory, the 8020 bolt, and double that connection power to like 600 psi, and it will never break. You just reinforce the connections. This is a very nerdy thing to be regretful about, and unless you're building a van, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But I could have saved over $1,000 and between 250 and 350 pounds of weight had I built my entire van out in the 1010 series 8020 aluminum. I do recommend using the 8020 instead of wood for your basic skeleton because it's so much stronger. It's not that much heavier. It's fireproof. It's waterproof. It won't rot or dry or like get destroyed as easily as wood does. So I do believe in the 8020, but I'm telling you, use the 1010, the 1-inch series for your entire build. You'll thank me later. Just reinforce the connection points with an extra bolt. That's all you need to do. That's my biggest regret of my van build. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna wrap up this video. I skipped a day yesterday because I had such a busy week in Boston. Tomorrow I want to do something outside. I don't know, we'll see. Thanks for sticking around for this one. Peace out.